Maybe I'm alone in this, but I feel like Laron Landry could have been an all-time great safety. Now don't get me wrong, he actually had a pretty solid career, but he had some major issues with performance-enhancing drugs that I think really sent him down a dark path. And eventually, it ended his career. Personally, I believe he became addicted to steroids or HGH or whatever combination of the two he was using. In this video, I come up with the theory explaining exactly what I think happened, why it happened, how it happened. Theory means that of course it's speculation, but it's all based on facts that will be presented within the video. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, man, don't forget to subscribe, click the thumbs up button, and share the video, as that helps the channel to continue to grow. Other than that, let's get it. So as a high school player, Laron Landry was considered by many to not just be the best high school football player in the state, but to be the best athlete in the state. Who had amazing genetics, which is evident by the fact that his parents had 3 boys and 2 of them had good careers in the NFL. I mean, Pops had a good field goal percent. Laron's older brother, Laron Landry, was actually pretty damn good too, and a lot of people forget about him. But he had 4 100+ tackle seasons in the NFL and another 97 tackle season in the league as well. Career total 8 sacks, 13 interceptions. That's pretty damn good. But Laron was a whole nother animal. He actually ranked as the number 5 athlete in the country coming out of high school. And he was obviously a beast on defense, but most people don't know he actually played quarterback as well and was a pretty solid dual threat QB. As a senior in high school, he put up 2,200 yards and a total of 28 touchdowns on offense alone. Laron stepped into the heart of the SEC, playing for Nick Saban his first 2 years and then Les Miles during his last year. He started 10 games as a true freshman safety in the SEC. He racked up 80 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 picks, 4 pass breakups, and a block kick. He was named first team freshman All-American and second team All-SEC. So as a 19-year-old kid, he did all of that on the national championship winning team. Throughout Laron's college career, he was the model of durability. He started 48 straight games and didn't deal with any major injury. And the way this dude was hitting cats, that's kind of surprising, to be honest. But as good as he was doing on the field, he was also doing well in the classroom. As a junior, he made the SEC All-Academic team. Well before he ever tested positive to anything, dude was a creative player. And in just a second, you about to hear some ridiculous combine numbers. But hang on for just a second, we about to get there. Now keep in mind, they test for performance enhancement drugs very aggressively in the NFL, more aggressively than any other sports league. Even more aggressive during the NFL Combine. Laron Landry went through this process, had no issue. So a completely clean Laron Landry at 6 feet, 213 pounds, hit like a truck, never been injured player, ran a 4.35 40. Just to put this in perspective, bro, Reggie Bush ran a 4.35 40. Okay, Julio Jones ran a 4.39. Now Laron didn't have the lateral quickness that these players had, but still, for his play style, position, size, to have that type of speed, bro. He also had a 38-inch vertical and was just all around explosive. Now, something that shocked me, he didn't do the bench press at the combine. Seemed like he would have fought somebody for not allowing him to do this exercise, as he was always a workout warrior. And he was said to be bench pressing 425 pounds while he was at LSU. He also had a 500-pound squat. Now, it's an extremely big deal to enter the 400 bench press club. Your boy actually got pretty close during one point in my life. I got up to about 375, but it felt like my shoulders just was not gonna hold up. But during that time, I weighed about 240 pounds, whereas Laron was obviously a lot lighter, like we just talked about. So like I said, by all accounts, this cat was always a workout warrior, always a weight room hero, but was good at football and was able to stay healthy. Now, the 07 draft was a phenomenal year for players from LSU, as 4 players from the school went in the first round. Unfortunately, pretty much all of these guys I've either done a What Happened To video on, or they definitely qualified for a What Happened To video. DeMarcus Russell, Dwayne Bowe, Craig Davis, and of course Laron Landry. I mean, dude went number 6 in the draft as a safety. That is a big deal. And when he stepped on the field for the Redskins, he was an instant starter next to the late, great Sean Taylor. Unbelievable safety duo known as Area 51, which was a combination of their numbers, Sean Taylor's 21 and Laron Landry's number 30. And for the first 10 weeks of the season, we got a glimpse into what could have been one of the all-time great defenses, potentially, given time. Unfortunately, that time was cut short. During Laron's rookie year, 2007, Sean Taylor had 42 tackles, a forced fumble, 5 picks, and 9 deflections. Then Sean Taylor missed weeks 11 and 12 with an injury, and he was tragically shot and killed in his home when intruders broke into the house. Just a terrible situation, man. Extremely sad, man. Rest in peace to Sean Taylor. At this point, Laron moves over to free safety. Plays that for the rest of the season. Again, no injury. He started all 16 games, recorded 95 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 6 pass deflections. Honestly, Laron was one of them cats that could have caught a ton of picks, but he almost always went for the big hit instead of going for the ball. So this kind of bailed the quarterbacks out a little bit, but it put the receivers in a world of hurt. Laron didn't get his first interception as a professional until the actual playoffs, man. He was in a wild card game, Redskins versus the Seattle Seahawks. Laron catches not 1, but 2 interceptions. Also, it's important to note that as a rookie, Laron Landry was a Pro Bowl alternate, which is a pretty big deal. So during that first 3 years of his career, Laron had 1 injury issue with the shoulder, but he only missed 1 game in his first 3 years combined. Now in 2010, Laron moved back to his strong safety spot. That was his natural position, and when he got back there, he played like it. He was way more comfortable there, and the most tackles he had racked up at the free safety position was 90 tackles. That was his best year. In 2010, when he moved back to strong safety, by week 9, he already had 85 tackles, nearly tying his best year ever, only halfway through the season. At that point, he already had 8 pass deflections, a pick, a sack, and a forced fumble. This was by far going to be his best year in the league. Unfortunately, he injured his Achilles in week 10, giving Laron his first true major injury ever. I mean, this cat started every game in high school, every game in college, and all but 1 game during the first 3 years of his NFL career. And finally, when he was having his best season, dude gets hurt. His coach at the time, Mike Shanahan, said that if he had not gotten hurt, he was definitely gonna win Defensive Player of the Year. And just looking at his stats up through the halfway point, it's hard to argue with him. Laron was placed on the physically unable to perform list, and this is where things start to get a little crazy. Laron refused to have surgery and instead chose to undergo alternative treatment. He received platelet-rich plasma treatments, or PRP treatment, against the team's advice. Apparently, it had worked before. Laron had used the same treatment to heal his shoulder. The team wanted him to get surgery on the shoulder. He decided to undergo alternative treatments. His recovery was faster, and he did not have to undergo surgery. So now he's got the Achilles issue. Same thing. Team's like, yo, let's send him to the specialist. You need to get this thing surgically repaired. Recovery is gonna be 1.5 years. Laron wasn't trying to hear that. Now, Laron didn't lose any strength or mobility in his shoulder, so he was extremely confident in the type of treatments that he had used to heal it. The team did not have any confidence in these type of treatments, and this created a pretty big rift. Now, Laron was adamantly against surgery pretty much in all circumstances. I read a couple transcripts of some of his interviews, and he only ever refers to surgery as cutting me open. Like, that's what he calls it, cutting me open. And technically, he's right. Like, you cut people open when you perform these types of surgery. But he had extremely strong feelings that went against surgery. And that's where I think kind of the beginning of the end began to present itself. Unfortunately, the Achilles injury did not heal up, nearly as fast as the shoulder. But the next season, Laron showed up and he was ready to go. Now, unfortunately, like what happens a lot of times, especially with football players, after they come back from a long injury, they have muscle imbalances and different things like that. And Laron strained his hamstring early in the season. Missed the first 2 games, but he came back in week 3. Now, he had a big hit, which forced a fumble in that game, but he wasn't the same player. And while Laron was never considered to be amazing in pass coverage, he averaged about 8 pass breakups a year and 1 interception. But in 2011, he had none. 0. Now, week 12 rolls around and Laron suffers from another injury. Now, I can imagine the frustration had to be through the roof. You're talking about somebody who's never dealt with a major injury. All of a sudden, his body is betraying. Laron once again decided against surgery, against the team's will, decided to go with alternative methods. And of course, every time he does that, he's got to pay for that out of his pocket. If you don't take the surgery that the team recommends, then they're not going to pay for it. Anyway, his contract ended while he was out, and the Redskins decided not to bring Laron back. Now, the next year in 2012, Laron signed with the Jets, and this is when I believe Laron really began to rely on performance enhancement drugs. Now, again, he was not caught until 2014, but I think it started in 2012. Now, I checked about 10 different sources for this HGH information, and the majority of them do show that it's got a healing factor that speeds up recovery. It's deep, it's a ton of research. I won't bore you with all of the details, but I think he started taking it right here to recover from his Achilles injury, from his growing hamstring, you know, to get all his tendons and everything strengthened back up so he can be Laron Landry out on the field once again. I mean, it's not that hard to imagine a guy who's never had a real injury all of a sudden just have a string of them. Doesn't take a ton of imagination to assume that this might be a person who would be willing to try alternative methods. So again, Laron had ended the previous 2 seasons with a season-ending injury. Yet in 2012, when he came back and played for the Jets, he had his best season ever. 100 tackles, 8 pass deflections, 2 picks, and 4 forced fumbles. My theory is that he used some type of human growth hormone, steroid, or something like that in order to get him back to where he was before. Now, it could be possible that he just worked really hard. It had been a couple years now since the Achilles injury, so it could have been 100% healed finally, which could then be the reason for the great season that he had. Also, he was playing in a new system, so there's quite a few other reasons that I also wanted to point out. But again, this is just my theory. Now, during that 2012 season, Laron made the Pro Bowl for the first time. And fortunately for him, he had only signed a 1-year deal with the Jets. He was now a free agent, and after having an amazing bounce back season, he got paid. Went to the Colts, 4 years, $24 million. Now, like I said, I think Laron initially took whatever performance enhancement drugs he took to take advantage of his healing properties. But being the workout warrior that he already is, I think he got addicted to the benefit. And even though he didn't get caught till 2014, here's some pretty strong evidence that suggests he started in 2012. Now, while Laron was playing with the Jets, his teammates would joke that Laron worked out 23 hours a day, basically taking an hour to practice. During this time, this is what Laron Landry's workout schedule looked like. Keep in mind, this is during the season, bro. Mondays, legs. Tuesday, chest and back. Wednesday, core. Thursday, legs again. And Friday, shoulder. Also, he did arms on Saturday, and if you've seen how big this dude's arms got, I think he did more than just Saturday. He was said to be doing bodybuilder style workouts using heavy weight and high rep ranges. In my mind, the only thing that makes this make any sense is he had to have been taking something. How is he recovering that fast from intense workouts every day, practicing every day, and playing one of the most physical sports ever on Sunday, on top of being one of the most physical players? On September 29, 2014, Laron tested positive for performance enhancement drugs for the first time. And at this point, this dude looked unbelievably huge, with arms that were said to look unnatural. Now, at that point, he got suspended for a game. Laron was then released, and before he can get picked up by another team, he tested positive again. This time, per the rule, he was suspended 10 games. Then later that year, same year, bro, he tests positive again. All for performance enhancement drugs, and this time, he's suspended indefinitely. Now, the way it works is it's classified as being suspended indefinitely, but it's basically a 2-year ban, and then after the 2 years, you can apply for reinstatement. Again, the indefinite suspension started in November 2015, so Laron would have been able to reapply earlier this year. Now, given his injury history, his performance enhancement drug history, and the fact that he's 33 years old, Laron probably knows there's pretty much no chance now. But it's pretty unfortunate the turn that his career ended up taking. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my theory that Laron started taking performance enhancement drugs in order to heal his body, but then got hooked and then took it to the extreme. The reason I think you can classify it as addiction is because he knew what the punishment was. You're talking about losing millions of dollars and an opportunity to play the game that you love. Yet he repeatedly, over and over, did the same behavior and constantly got caught. I also checked, and yes, you can become addicted to steroids or HGH according to the National Drug Association. Now, Laron hasn't posted to his social media since 2015 when he was banned, so we're not sure exactly what he's doing today, what he looks like today, if he continued taking his performance enhancement drugs, or what the case may be. All in all, we can just hope that Laron is healthy, and hey, maybe he'll resurface. I mean, go into bodybuilding or something like that, and that's not a joke, it's a real profession and cats get paid. I don't know, but let me know in the comment section, man. Agree with my theory, don't agree with my theory, why not? Like the video, subscribe, share it, y'all know the drill. I'm out until next time. My name is FlemLo Raps. Wow.
Yeah, no quitter, 'cause I'ma go again.